Greetings, I'm Amy, a 34-year-old woman who serves as the proprietor of a beach resort in my state. Given my role as the owner, I enjoy significant flexibility in choosing my workspace, and I've opted to operate from the comfort of my home. However, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law did not take kindly to this decision, leading to months of bullying and belittlement. Nevertheless, I assertively put them in their place in a manner that upheld my dignity. Now let me delve into my narrative. Raised in a family immersed in various industries, our most lucrative venture was the hotel and resort sector. At the age of 17, I began interning at our lakeside resort, and it soon became a central part of my life. The joy of interacting with clients and managing accounts became a daily source of anticipation. Delighted with my passion for the family business, my parents, for my 24th birthday, surprised me with a significant announcement. "Sweetie, your dad and I have been contemplating something substantial over the past year. We believe you've demonstrated more than enough potential," my mother disclosed as they handed me a set of documents. "These are for you. We're transferring the ownership of the lakeside resort to you." Overwhelmed with gratitude, I embraced the responsibility and promised not to let them down. Pouring my heart and soul into the business, I witnessed its flourishing within a year, achieving financial stability for a lifetime. Though my parents facilitated my success, meeting my husband Ryan through a dating app added a new chapter to my life, approximately 6 years into my ownership of the resort. Financially flourishing, my romantic life was a tale of tragedy, and the encroaching loneliness led me to sign up for a dating app. The ensuing match with Ryan surpassed the expectations set by his profile. In person, he radiated charm and chivalry, proving far more handsome than his online portrayal. As our connection deepened, we embarked on numerous dates. Guided by my parents' teachings to be wary of people, especially regarding money, I approached relationships cautiously. Despite dating Ryan for 3 years before disclosing my wealth, his indifference to it reassured me. He emphasized that my wealth wasn't what attracted him. It was who I was. Kept secret for a significant period, I entrusted Ryan with the knowledge, urging him to keep it private, and he willingly agreed. Our wedding, celebrated with a sizable ceremony, marked the union of Ryan and me. Although most guests were from Ryan's side, we relished the joyous occasion. Meeting Ryan's mom, Cheryl, and sister Grace on several occasions before the wedding, they seemed decent and not overtly problematic. Despite their occasional awkwardness and hushed conversations, I paid little mind to it, as long as it didn't jeopardize my relationship or life. However, Ryan, perturbed by his mother and sister's behavior, understood when I decided to keep my distance from them. 1 month after our marriage, Ryan approached me with a request. "Babe, my mom and sister are in a tight spot. Can they stay with us for a while? They're a couple of months behind on rent and facing eviction." Upon receiving a call from my mom and sister facing a similar predicament, I empathized and readily agreed, allowing them to stay with us. However, Mom mentioned they'd be staying for approximately 6 months to work and save up for a new place. While that seemed manageable, it was crucial for them to actively participate in household responsibilities. Living here meant contributing to chores and various tasks, and I assured Mom that I'd ensure it happened. Unfortunately, this decision took an unexpected turn. Cheryl and Grace, for some reason, believed Ryan owned our house, which wasn't an issue for me. However, it led to complications. I had a significantly higher income than Ryan, a fact he never disclosed. Ryan remained silent, fearing that revealing my wealth could lead to exploitation by Cheryl and Grace. Observing our home, they assumed Ryan earned more and began belittling me. They consistently neglected their chores, leaving messes everywhere. Despite Ryan's repeated requests for them to clean up after themselves, they dismissed the idea, citing a familial bond as an excuse. Owning the resort allowed me the freedom to choose where I worked, and I opted to work from home. Strangely, Cheryl opposed the idea of working from home, and Grace displayed blatant disrespect. Both disrupted me regularly, causing further tension. While engaged in the process of organizing crucial matters, if there was a scheduled meeting, they would intentionally task me with errands just before. If I attempted to resist, they would cite financial constraints or lack of transportation. What exacerbated the situation was their unemployment and the absence of any genuine efforts to seek employment. They comfortably resided in our home, consuming our resources. I wouldn't have minded if they had taken responsibility for their untidiness. Cheryl and Grace condescendingly viewed me, and enduring it was manageable for a time. However, living with them, subjected to their constant inane comparisons, became tiresome. They perceived me solely as a stay-at-home wife, glued to my computer and phone all day. They believed their son worked diligently and brought home the earnings. My husband, Ryan, shared my sentiments. He, too, grew weary of feeling inferior due to their unintentional actions. Above all, he despised their lack of regard for me and their audacity to trample over me. The breaking point arrived when I invited friends for brunch. Having informed Cheryl and Grace, I politely requested them to steer clear of common areas for around 3 hours. They willingly agreed, and though odd, I accepted without conflict. However, my gratitude proved premature. Half an hour into my friends' presence, Cheryl and Grace strolled in, introducing themselves. At this juncture, irritation coursed through me. To exacerbate matters, they delved into portraying me as a pampered individual, adept only at subsisting on the finances of others. Despite the evident discomfort on my friends' faces, their proximity allowed them insight into the intricacies of my connections with my mother and sister-in-law. An uneasy and awkward silence enveloped my circle as Cheryl and Grace reveled in my vexation, laughing at my expense. Aware that any reaction from me would be eagerly consumed, I rose and motioned to depart. Seeking consensus from my friends, they swiftly concurred, and we vacated the premises with such celerity that one might have presumed the house was ablaze, a prospect I momentarily wished for. Upon my return, I retreated straight to my room, anticipating a reprieve from encountering Cheryl and Grace until my temper subsided. The audacity of their disrespect lingered, fueling my seething discontent. Their actions had crossed a line, and I resolved to make them recognize the source of the funds sustaining their lifestyles. I bided my time until Ryan returned home, weary from work. When he inquired about my day, I recounted the events, highlighting the inappropriate conduct of my mother and Grace. Ryan, indignant on my behalf, proposed confronting them, but I held him back, revealing an alternative plan. I was contemplating whether you'd be agreeable, but I'm intrigued. How about proposing a brief getaway to the seaside and accommodating them at my private retreat? Brilliant. It's a clever move that will firmly establish boundaries. Okay, but here's where my scheme takes a darker turn. I'm thinking of not letting them stay, escorting them all the way there and just abandoning them. We can relish our time, return, and wait for them to find their way back home. Let's do it. They've earned it. Do you also want to expel them? Honestly, yes. Perfect. We'll kick them out. I'm fed up with their dependency on us. We'll draft the eviction notice beforehand and then embark on our vacation. Handing it to them when we leave will be the ultimate lesson. Why did I even doubt your approval of my plan? We scheduled the vacation for next week to align with Ryan's availability. During that week, I consulted my attorney, seeking assistance in notarizing the eviction notice. I couldn't wait to present it to Cheryl and Grace, finally revealing the repercussions of their actions. After receiving the eviction notice and once Ryan secured his approved leave, we convened to strategize our plans. We were determined to make the upcoming vacation appear genuinely authentic, believing it would enhance the satisfaction of our revenge. Our goal was to leave Ryan's mom and sister feeling emotionally torn. Simultaneously, we recognized this vacation as a crucial starting point for us, finally enabling us to live life on our terms. Taking immediate action, I contacted my brother to change the locks on my door and enlisted his friends, whom I would compensate, to pack up Cheryl and Grace's belongings from their rooms. It was a firm decision. I would not permit them back into my life, and they would understand that. The journey to the lakeside would take about half a day, during which I planned to let Cheryl and Grace express themselves freely. After all, I knew I would have the last laugh. Once everything was in order, we decided to inform Cheryl and Grace about our vacation plans. Amy and I casually approached the topic with them, suggesting a lakeside getaway and inviting them to join us. However, the response we received was far from simple or agreeable. Despite the tension, we remained composed, explaining our intentions. In the face of objections and accusations, we maintained our ground, unwavering in our decision to embark on this vacation that signified the beginning of our liberated lives. I found myself growing increasingly irritated, and it was evident that Ryan shared the same sentiment. The level of entitlement exhibited by those three was truly astounding. The only thing that prevented me from losing my cool was the preconceived plan I had in mind. I braced myself for the inevitable barrage of insults and taunts, knowing that I had to endure it to get through the weekend. As we prepared for our vacation, Cheryl and Grace couldn't stop chattering incessantly. Despite the constant background noise, Ryan and I exchanged knowing glances now and then. When we finally arrived at our destination, Cheryl and Grace gawked at the resort in awe, discussing its beauty loudly. They kept pausing, emphasizing Ryan's ability to afford such a luxurious retreat. Ryan, on the other hand, seemed embarrassed, keeping his head down. Cheryl and Grace didn't miss an opportunity to make me feel inadequate. They repeatedly emphasized that I should be grateful for Ryan's invitation, insinuating that I didn't deserve the things he did for me. Nonetheless, I held my head high as I entered the resort. Cheryl and Grace followed closely behind, taunting me persistently, while Ryan waited with the bellhop to unload our belongings. Upon reaching the receptionist greeted me, addressing me as boss. This prompted an immediate objection from Cheryl and Grace, claiming that they, not I, were the ones deserving of such a title. In response, I calmly asserted that Miss Amy was, quite literally, my boss. This revelation led to confusion and disbelief, with Cheryl demanding to speak to the manager, unaware that the highest authority of the establishment had just walked in with us, my mom. I doubt there's much that my manager can assist you with. Both of their expressions grew pale as they attempted to further argue the matter with the receptionist. However, she steadfastly maintained her stance on me being the resort owner. I simply observed as they stumbled over their words, realizing how poorly they had treated me. It seemed they connected the dots, recognizing that my time on the phone and laptop was spent working and earning money. When Ryan entered, they immediately confronted him, expressing their anger. "How could you deceive us? What's this about?" Ryan, unfazed, responded, "Why should I disclose my wife's ownership of the resort or her wealth? It's not my place to share someone else's business." "You've embarrassed us all this time," they exclaimed. Ryan retorted calmly, "If knowing about my wife's social status and earnings was necessary for you to treat me decently, I'd rather not have you in our lives." I interjected, "You don't get to decide for my son." To which Ryan, supporting my standpoint, said, "Mom, she has a point. Are you seriously siding with them over ours? I've repeatedly urged both of you to cease your unkind behavior towards Amy. Regrettably, my pleas fell on deaf ears and your cessation was only apparent in my presence, a disrespectful gesture. I've reached a point where I want no association with either of you. Hence, consider this your eviction notice. Upon your return, you'll discover your belongings packed and removed from the house. Attempting entry is futile, as I've changed all the locks. Best of luck on your journey back. Your abrupt departure leaves us astounded. You cannot simply abandon your family. If family truly held significance for you, your treatment of me would have been different. Despite our predicament, at least permit us to stay here. Here's $250 to facilitate your journey back home. Farewell." The expressions of sheer astonishment on Cheryl and Bree's faces were immensely satisfying. Finally, I could rid myself of the constant need to watch my back in my own home. My sanctuary can, once again, become a place of peace. Ryan felt the same liberation, evident in his joyful demeanor. Our brief getaway was delightful, and returning home was anticipated with excitement. It has been 7 months since these events unfolded, and I am resolute in never sacrificing my peace of mind for my family. Bullies within families are insufferable, and I vow not to aid them again. Fortunately, my husband supported my decision. The aftermath for Cheryl and Grace remains unclear, as all their belongings vanished upon our return. Ryan had to counter allegations from family members, providing evidence to dispel the lies and manipulations concocted by his mother and sister. As far as I know, Cheryl and Grace have been shunned by the entire family, receiving no assistance. Ryan and I successfully eliminated the most significant source of toxicity from our lives, leading to increased happiness and vitality. I wouldn't have it any other way.